This moment completely flipped the narrative on live TV.
Everyone stop
If we did
talking,
that.
please, for just a moment. Stop talking. Thank you. John and Kevin, you all are strongly criticizing AOC for making
She was
flubs.
terrible, that's why.
All right. We just played several
I didn't
bites
say
here,
that
okay?
either.
Let me hold on. He stood next to someone from the EU and called them the Prime Minister of the UK, okay? He called South Africa, South America. He called South America, South.
This one is worth your time. On Abby Phillips' panel, Anna Navarro and Cari Champion squared off with Kevin O'Leary in a tense back and forth that quickly turned into one of those moments where the contrast in perspectives couldn't have been clearer. The discussion escalated fast, and you could feel the energy shift as the arguments started landing. We're going to break down this debate from Abby Phillips' show. Kevin O'Leary, Cari Champion, Anna Navarro, and the rest of the panel, and I'll share my take on what stood out.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is this is, of course, a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point, and we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
It should come as no surprise, MAGA is having a field day with this one.
Move over Kamala. AOC just cooked up her own signature word salad on the global stage.
She was taking her 2028 bike out for a spin. She hit the embankment. She flipped head over heels and went all the way down the mountain. It's her fault.
After the word salad, AOC froze like a deer in headlights.
To quote Billy Madison, everyone in this room is now dumber because of that answer. Thank you, AOC.
A flub for AOC, but the question is also, what happens when the president, the actual president of the United States, does very similar things on the world stage? Listen.
I watch our police and our firemen down on 7-Eleven, down at the World Trade Center.
When I told them about Iceland, they loved me. Our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland.
Shifting production to Thailand and to Vietnam.
I solved wars that was unsolvable. Azerbaijan and Albania.
Miami has been a haven for those fleeing communist tyranny in South Africa.
Nambia's health system is increasingly self-sufficient. We all know the great Prime Minister of the UK, and we just signed a document. This is, sorry about that. We just signed it, and it's done. And so we have our trade agreement with the European Union.
So look, I'll give you that AOC probably should have been more ready for that question, but are we going to really pretend that the actual president of the United States has not made similar or perhaps worse flubs on the global stage?
Yeah, I don't think we have to pretend. Everyone makes some flubs. We're all TV personalities. We have mistakes here and there. But it's interesting that you would play 10 consecutive clips of Trump actually saying things. Maybe they may not have been pertinent or taken out of context.
Incorrect
but you played one of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which the whole world is still trying to figure out exactly what she was saying. So, the big buzz now is maybe Kamala, AOC, 2028. I say, bring that on based on that performance right there.
Yeah, listen, stumbling over your words for 15 seconds is not the same as being incoherent or uneducated on foreign policy.
That was incoherent.
She had a ton of amazing answers in that same interview, which we are not playing. We are playing in its entirety, which we do not do for the president. Personally, I was more interested in the thing she said, where she said we're entering an age of authoritarianism, where a group is working in tandem to carve up the world into pieces to serve themselves, and the president is interested in taking on the Western Hemisphere. First of all, that seems kind of true to me, but going to the Munich Security Conference and saying that out loud in the world is kind of ballsy, and I liked it. So a couple of before answering a question on Taiwan.
Not a big deal. You should go to Queens once in a while before she goes to Munich. That would probably help.
She has gone to Queens a few times, so she's she's not a foreign policy expert.
Clearly.
And so, no, she's not.
Clearly.
She's not.
You don't say. Yeah. Come on, give her a break.
You guys, this is
You don't even know who's running in Texas. Okay, so there's a ton of things you don't know. Stop being so condescending.
For 5 seconds, let somebody finish their thoughts before you have to be rude.
I would like to see how you would be able to answer that. Look, I think that it takes a lot of courage, and I think for her to be expanding her message, for her to be expanding her areas of policy interest are a good thing. She is one of 435 members of Congress. There's a lot of them there that don't come with a breadth of foreign policy knowledge.
You're right. She was fabulous.
It's not about her being fabulous. It wasn't.
Say something here. Let's say you're hired to give a speech. Let's say you're hired because you're expected to deliver information to an audience. Let's say you're even paid for it. When you go and do that, what happens is the agency that hired you, whether it's the government, your own party, says that was not your best moment. In fact, they tied you back to Kamala Harris. You were so bad, you sounded like her. And by the way, I'm sorry, it's not a partisan issue. She was terrible. Get over it. Now maybe she'll get better.
20 seconds. That was it. And the reality,
are you kidding?
But the reality is, if you take just a minute and not be condescending, I really believe what she was.
I'm trying to
one moment. You had your moment. You had your moment.
Let her respond.
Did you catch that exchange at the end? When Cari Champion told Kevin O'Leary, "You had your moment," and he fired back with, "I always have more moments. That's what's great about me." That kind of self-importance says a lot. It's one thing to be confident. It's another to treat every panel like it revolves around you. What makes it even more ironic is hearing O'Leary criticize other people's communication skills when he regularly goes on Abby Phillips' show and delivers some of the most questionable takes imaginable. The lack of self-awareness is striking. It's hard to take lectures about clarity or credibility seriously from someone who constantly leans into exaggeration and sweeping claims. Then there was John Tobacco, apparently a new addition to the panel rotation. He shows up with the tone and posture of someone trying to project authority, and one of his arguments was that critics play 10 clips of Donald Trump compared to just a few seconds of someone like AOC. But that comparison ignores a simple reality. Trump speaks constantly, and he generates a steady stream of controversial or confusing remarks. When someone produces that much material, of course there will be more clips to analyze. Ana Navarro made a fair point in noting that foreign policy might not be AOC's strongest lane. That's reasonable. No one is an expert in everything. But look at the broader contrast. We have a former president who often answers questions by overwhelming the room with loosely connected phrases, pivoting mid-sentence, and bulldozing through interruptions rather than offering structured responses. The comparison being drawn feels selective. There's also an element of projection at play. Criticizing someone for taking a few seconds to gather their thoughts, rather than immediately launching into a torrent of words. While defending a figure known for verbal rambling is hard to square. If you're going to hold AOC to a standard, then consistency demands applying that same standard across the board. If the comparison were between AOC and a polished, disciplined communicator like Barack Obama, that would at least be an apples-to-apples discussion. But framing it against someone whose speaking style is famously improvisational and often disjointed doesn't strengthen the argument. It highlights the double standard.
I thought she was doing something that the President of the United States rarely does, and that's think before she speaks.
I don't recall.
She was trying to get her words together so she knew how to handle it appropriately.
It's not partisan.
And if people did that, we wouldn't be in this situation that we're in right now.
Abby would tell the producers, don't have them on anymore. We wouldn't be on ever again.
Everyone stop talking, please, for just a moment. Stop talking. Thank you. John and Kevin, you all are strongly criticizing AOC for making floods.
Terrible. That's why.
All right. We just played several bites here, okay? Let me hold on. He stood next to someone from the EU and called them the Prime Minister of the UK, okay? He called South Africa, South America. He called South America, South Africa. He called Greenland, Iceland.
So Namibia.
So my question to you is, okay, bad answers. What do you think should happen to Donald Trump as a result of his bad answers?
AOC wants to become the president of the United States. He already is.
Okay, so
he's not worried about running again.
So what are you saying?
She's trying to become
So what are you
president.
saying, that it's okay, no consequences because he's already president?
No, I'm just saying that moment was not her best. And I, above all of the rest of you, I am encouraging her to say, listen, watch the tape, don't do that again, or you'll be compared to word salad girl in the last election.
What about when Donald Trump, in 2024, said, I think Taiwan should pay us for defense.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, it's
I don't
not
think that
working,
we're
Abby.
any different from an insurance policy. He was running for president at that time.
Let's lift her up.
He says,
Let's
I don't
help
think
her.
we are any different from an insurance policy. Why are we doing this? When he was asked if the United States would defend
But what does
Taiwan.
that have to do with her performance?
So even on the
Trump, MAGA's having a field day, and then we make some comments which you were all thinking in your head, and now you're getting mad at us having a field day. We deserve it.
For you.
It was a terrible performance.
John, hey, I'm just asking for you all to apply
I
the
think
same
Trump's hilarious.
standard.
I think he makes mistakes
to
all the time, and I
president
crack up
as you
laughing.
do
Just like
to
I cracked
AOC.
up at Joe Biden when he made mistakes.
you know-
it happens.
you know what
You're not cracking up when the woman's laughing. You're mocking her. You're saying she's
I'm
uneducated.
cracking up
You're
when I
saying
see
she's
her
stupid.
because
And then
she's
you're
not even
comparing her to
forming
the
sentences.
Then you're comparing her to the
She's
other
not even forming
strong woman
sentences.
who
She's not
ran.
giving like a
And
long
you're
fact
hilarious
or
when men make a
supporting
gaffe.
her. She's
But when
not
women make a
here
gaffe, they're
supporting her.
monsters that should never be invited back.
Thank
You know what one of the differences is, though? When
Are you the
Trump,
book of
when
finish
Trump
too?
makes these mistakes as president, he's actually reading from things that people supposedly experts on these issues have written. AOC was beyond her skis, I think, in a place that is a new horizon for her.
Don't say
Enough,
that.
Kevin. You're so damn
Don't say
repetitive.
that.
Kevin, please stop.
And,
Let her
you know,
finish her thought.
she can't, I mean, Donald Trump can't read a script. She was answering an impromptu question of something that she's not an expert in. And she's there making mistakes and learning from them. Listen, I'm old enough to remember when George W. Bush was running for president and they asked him about the guy running Pakistan. What was his name? And he kept saying, General, because he couldn't remember the guy's name.
An iconic moment in American history.
Yes, I mean,
All right.
and he went on.
There's one point that Kevin O'Leary and the rest of that panel seem unwilling to acknowledge. The President of the United States should be held to the highest standard. Not the same standard as a private citizen. Not even the same standard as a member of Congress. A higher one. The office demands it. AOC isn't the president. She may or may not run for that role one day. That's up to voters. But right now, the person sitting in the Oval Office carries the weight of the most powerful executive position in the world. That comes with responsibility, discipline, and accuracy. When the president speaks, markets move. Alliances shift. Policies are shaped. That's not a casual platform. And yet, we repeatedly see statements that are not just awkwardly phrased, but flat out incorrect. Claims that stretch credibility. The repetition of conspiracy-laced narratives that would sound more at home in a late-night social media thread than at a presidential podium. A leader with access to the best intelligence briefings, the most experienced advisors, and subject matter experts from around the globe should not be leaning into rumor and speculation. Shouldn't that matter? Instead, what we get from figures like O'Leary and others on that panel is an attempt to lower the bar, to redirect the conversation, to nitpick a pause from AOC. A moment where she took a breath to gather her thoughts, while excusing a pattern of off-the-cuff rambling from someone who holds vastly more power. The imbalance in scrutiny is obvious. And then there's the broader context. With real global crises unfolding, complex economic challenges at home, and serious policy debates to be had, the fixation on a few seconds of hesitation feels misplaced. It's easier to turn AOC into a recurring target than to engage seriously with systemic issues. Meanwhile, the same voices that demand perfection from her rarely apply that same lens to the president. That's the inconsistency. If you're going to critique communication, do it fairly. If you're going to talk about competence, do it consistently. Because taking a moment to think before speaking isn't a flaw. In many cases, it's a sign of responsibility. And when you compare that to a style built on impulse and improvisation, the contrast becomes clear. So here's the real question. When the President of the United States is held to a lower standard than a member of Congress, what does that say about where we are politically? And when political figures constantly escalate rhetoric, dismiss facts, or shift blame, does that create a climate where accountability disappears and hostility grows? What are your thoughts on how lowering standards at the top can fuel political division and even threats in the broader culture? Should the president be judged more strictly than lawmakers like AOC? Or are we living in a time where the bar has simply collapsed? Let me know down in the comments. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to give the video a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Until next time, this has been Arthur's View, where we cut through the noise so you don't have to. Thanks for watching. Arthur's View.